A mysterious encounter. Imagine driving alone on a deserted road late at night when suddenly your world turns upside down. This isn't some fanciful tale spun out of thin air. Today we delve into the eerie yet compelling story of Betty and Barney Hill, an everyday American couple who claim to have experienced the unimaginable, an abduction by beings from another world. Picture this: Betty, a social worker, and Barney, a postal worker, were two ordinary individuals living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Their lives were as mundane and as routine as any other American couple in the early 60s. They paid their taxes, they held barbecues in their backyard, and they took vacations to escape the humdrum of daily life. In the fall of 1961, they decided to take a break from their routine and embark on a trip to the breathtaking Niagara Falls. It was on their return journey that the ordinary turned extraordinary, the believable transformed into the unbelievable, and the mundane became otherworldly. The date was September 19, 1961, a date that would etch itself into their memories forever. They were cruising along the deserted Route 3, making their way back to Portsmouth. The night was as quiet as it gets, with only the hum of their car and the occasional hoot of a night owl breaking the silence. The road was bathed in the soft glow of their headlights, the darkness of the night making the path ahead seem endless. As they drove, an unsettling feeling began to creep up on them. Something was off. Something was different. The night wasn't as silent as it seemed. There was something in the air, a sense of foreboding, a chill that wasn't from the autumn air. Little did they know, this would be a night they would remember for the rest of their lives. As the couple drove through the White Mountains of New Hampshire, they noticed a peculiar light in the sky. It was a clear, crisp night, the kind where you can see the stars twinkling like a blanket of diamonds. Betty and Barney Hill were simply enjoying their peaceful drive home, the radio humming softly in the background. Then, a flickering light caught their attention. Barney, ever the skeptic, initially dismissed it as a commercial plane. After all, it was the logical explanation. The idea of an unidentified flying object seemed too far-fetched, even for a moment like this. But as they continued their journey, they realized this was no ordinary plane. The light moved erratically, darting across the sky in a way no conventional aircraft could. It zigzagged, then hovered, then shot off at breakneck speed only to return moments later. It was a spectacle that defied logic. Their curiosity was piqued, but it was soon replaced by a growing sense of unease. The light wasn't just moving erratically, it was getting closer. It was as if the mysterious object was aware of them, tracking them. The peaceful drive home had suddenly turned into a nerve-wracking chase. Feeling a knot of fear in his stomach, Barney decided to pull over. He fumbled in the glove compartment for a pair of binoculars, hoping to get a better look at the object. Perhaps it was a weather balloon, or a military experiment, or something. But what he saw through those lenses was far from anything he could have comprehended. The object was disc-shaped, with a series of brightly lit windows running around its circumference. It hovered in the sky, silent and ominous, a sight so surreal it made Barney's heart pound in his chest. As he stood there, binoculars pressed against his eyes, he knew one thing for certain: they weren't alone. What he saw was unlike anything he could have expected. The peaceful drive through the White Mountains had taken a turn into the realm of the unimaginable, a journey into the unknown that would forever change their lives. In a series of unnerving events, they found themselves face to face with the unimaginable. This is not the plot of a science fiction movie, but the lived experience of Betty and Barney Hill in the autumn of 1961. As this couple ventured into the unknown, they claimed to have encountered beings not of this world, humanoid figures that seemed as curious about them as they were terrified of the visitors. The Hills described these figures as not quite human, yet strikingly similar. They had a peculiar grace about them, and their eyes, oh their eyes, were unlike anything they'd ever seen. From Betty's recollections, these beings communicated in a language that was incomprehensible to them, yet they seemed to understand the Hills perfectly. In a haze of fear and fascination, the couple found themselves being led into the spacecraft. The interior was as otherworldly as its occupants. They were separated and taken to different sections of the ship. Each underwent an examination, the details of which were hazy and fragmented in their memories. The examinations were not painful, but they were strange, unlike any medical procedure known to man. Betty had a more vivid memory of the event. She recalled one of the beings showing her a star map. It was a pattern of dots and lines like a constellation, but not one recognizable from Earth. The being seemed to be trying to communicate something about this star-like pattern, but the meaning was lost on Betty. Now, here's where things get even more eerie. After their examinations, the Hills' next memory was of being back in their car. Their watches had stopped, the sun was rising, and they had a 2-hour gap in their memory. They had no recollection of leaving the spaceship, or how they ended up back in their vehicle. When they regained full consciousness, they were back in their car, but with a missing chunk of time they couldn't account for. A chilling mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Haunted by disturbing dreams and unexplained anxiety, Betty and Barney sought help from Dr. Benjamin Simon, a psychiatrist and neurologist. Our story continues in the aftermath of the Hills' alleged abduction, a period marked by unease, confusion, and a desperate search for answers. Under the guidance of Dr. Simon, the Hills embarked on a series of hypnotic regression sessions, a therapeutic process aimed at uncovering memories buried deep within the subconscious. As the weeks turned into months, both Betty and Barney began to recall more details about their encounter. Their accounts, eerily similar, painted a vivid picture of a humanoid race from a far-off star system. Perhaps one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that emerged from these sessions was a star map. While under hypnosis, Betty drew a detailed diagram of the cosmos, as she remembered it being shown to her by the extraterrestrials. She sketched a cluster of 12 celestial bodies interconnected by lines, which she explained were trade routes or expeditionary paths of the alien species. This star map became a source of controversy in the years that followed. Some astronomers like Marjorie Fish argued that the map bore a striking resemblance to a portion of the cosmos, specifically the Zeta Reticuli star system. However, other scientists and skeptics dismissed the map as a product of Betty's imagination or a subconscious recollection of a random star chart she might have seen. The Hills case set the precedent for many other reported abductions that would follow. Their story, though met with skepticism and scrutiny, was also the source of fascination and intrigue. It challenged our understanding of the cosmos and sparked a whole new era of ufology. Despite the scrutiny and skepticism, the Hills stood by their story. They maintained that their encounter was real, forever etching their names into the annals of alien abduction narratives. Their tale continues to captivate, to inspire, and to leave us questioning the vast, unknown expanses of the cosmos. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction remains one of the most famous and controversial cases in UFO history. The tale of this ordinary couple from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, catapulted into the extraordinary, continues to captivate us, even more than 6 decades later. Let's revisit the saga. One evening in September 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were returning from a vacation when they encountered an unidentified flying object. In the subsequent hours, they claimed to have been abducted and experimented on by extraterrestrial beings. The couple's detailed recollection of the event, under hypnosis, marked the first widely reported case of alien abduction. Yet, despite the Hills' vivid account, a multitude of questions remain unanswered. What was the nature of the strange craft they encountered? Why were they chosen for this alleged abduction? Most importantly, is there tangible proof to substantiate their claims, or is this story a result of hallucination, fabrication, or misinterpretation? The skepticism surrounding the case is as robust as the belief in it. Critics argue that the Hills' account could be a psychological phenomenon, a product of sleep deprivation, or perhaps an elaborate hoax. They question the validity of the evidence, particularly the star map Betty purportedly drew under hypnosis, pointing out the ease with which patterns can be found when one is seeking them. On the other side, believers uphold this case as a significant piece of the extraterrestrial puzzle. They argue that the Hills' detailed and consistent testimonies, especially under hypnosis, lend credibility to their story. This case sparked a wave of reported alien abductions worldwide, bringing the issue of extraterrestrial life into the public consciousness like never before. Whether you believe or not, the tale of Betty and Barney Hill continues to intrigue and mystify, leaving us to ponder the vast, unexplored cosmos and our place within it. In the face of the unknown, we are left with more questions than answers, propelling our ceaseless quest for truth in the boundless expanse of the universe. Thanks for tuning in, Weirdsville dwellers. Brace yourselves for more bizarre tales every Wednesday at 3 p.m. EST. If you haven't joined our community yet, hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop with the weirdest happenings in Weirdsville. Until our next rendezvous, never stop questioning the unknown, and keep that curiosity of yours burning bright. Farewell for now.